This was like the trending style of the 18th century, but who came up with these designs? Were there celebrity designers? I think that this is a really great question because it actually asks somebody to talk about the holistic evolution of clothing and the fashion industry as we know it. So, if you're down for that, stay with me and let's talk about it. So, I do a series on here called An Outfit of the Day where we talk about a different garment either from history or from film, television, theater, fashion worlds. And we were talking about the robe a la Francais. This is a Watteau gown. It's also known as a sack gown. And it's basically characterized by a tight fitting bodice, wide hoop skirts with panniers underneath, and a back that has this beautiful draped effect to it. Now, this popular style lasted for about a century, okay? It evolved from the robe volant that was very popular in the late 17th century into the early 18th century. So we're looking at like late 1600s to the early 1700s. And we know a lot about the 1700s. A lot of people know about it because of pop culture and our obsession with Marie Antoinette still. So if you need context, think of Marie Antoinette. She was wearing these dresses and she was actually an incredible fashion style icon. And it doesn't really behoove us to call her a fashion icon because the concept of fashion did not really exist before the 20th century or the 1900s. So what does that necessarily mean? That there were like no fashion icons and yet we still have things like this. And these things, these dresses really set the trends for everybody else. Okay, so I want you to just think about what society was like in the 18th century, in the 1700s. You have the peasants, and then you have the ruling class. So you have the peasants, and then you have the lords and ladies, and the kings and queens. So the royal court, and then like everybody else, which is kind of very similar to what we have now. We have the 1% and everybody else. And it was that 1% that created trends. And these trends existed amongst the different courts, the French court, the English court, the Spanish court, and they all influenced each other. And they also were influenced by, the society's culture at the time. So like these dresses were part of the Rococo period. And the Rococo period is best exemplified by like gilt glamour. So it's very light, it's airy, it has a lot of upward movement. We have a lot of gold, we have a lot of scroll work. It's very playful. It was all about this like obsession with ancient Greece and the classics and romance. So it's very fantastical, which is why Marie Antoinette looked like this. The way she dressed was a direct reflection of the surroundings and the things that were happening around her. Fashion is not an island. It is influenced by everything, socioeconomic, cultural impact, okay? So the art, this was her social media at the time, this is like her selfie, and everyone else in the court saw her and they were like, I want to wear that. So what did they do? Did they go to fashion designers? Not necessarily. No, they would go to a tailor or a dressmaker, okay? And there are like rules and nuances as to who could make what clothing, when and where, based on which time period. Dressmakers were looked down upon compared to the tailors. Look at England right now. You have Savile Row, which is all tailors, and there's one female tailor, and I think that she was admitted in like the early 2011, something like that. I have to look that up. So yes, we have Catherine Sargent, and she is still to this day the only female and the first female to ever work on Savile Row. So from the 18th century on, you have tailor shops and dressmakers. Think Bridgerton. Have you seen Bridgerton? They've got great scenes with the dressmaker in there. So also when we look at clothing, we should look at context. This was a popular gown before the robe a la Francais, and it directly influenced how the robe a la Francais evolved. And yet, even through its evolution, the robe a la Francais kept these Watteau, these butterfly style pleating at the back of the gown. Adding in that like this was one of the most popular paintings of the time. This is Fragonard, and it is so whimsical and romantic. And look what she's wearing. She's wearing a Watteau style gown. And this painting is called The Pilgrimage to Cythera, and it was supposed to look like the French court going on an adventure. So everyone's sort of influencing each other in a circle, right? Add to it that during this time, France and England and Spain were all fighting with each other. So at different time periods, different fabrics were more popular. In the later times when France and England were at war, more French silks were worn in France and more English cotton was worn in England. And then the robe à la Française turned into the robe à la Anglaise because it's sort of like freedom fries in 2001, if anyone remembers that. So now we've established that this style has evolved from something before. The fabrics are directly reflective of maybe someone's politics or personal choice. Definitely reflective of their socioeconomic class, because peasants were not wearing this. Not all peasants were wearing this. They were wearing clothes that were probably handed down to them and upcycled constantly because they could not afford dresses like this. This is a luxury status and a symbol, okay? So now we're showing off to each other. Add politics in it. You have the French court showing off to the English court, to the Spanish court, and everyone's copying each other's styles and evolving them because they're going to dressmakers and they're going to tailors. We have fancy women like Madame du Pompadour and the Queen's favorite, Madame du Barry, who all would go to these dressmakers and they would try to copy Marie Antoinette's style. Each of these women also respectively became influencers themselves. So now we're looking at something similar to our society, right? We have Instagram influencers and TikTok influencers, people telling you to buy stuff. That's basically what they were doing to the rest of the court. They were setting the standards for how everyone else needed to look. And the reason we don't know who made these dresses is because we accredit these choices to the people who purchased the clothing. And we don't know individual dressmakers and tailors because they were never going to say, this is mine, created by me. That concept of artistic ownership didn't really evolve until the 20th century, because how dare a peasant or someone from the working class take credit for these ideas that a noble person, a royal, told them to do. Like in a dressmaker shop or a tailor shop, they will suggest fabric. Oh, I brought in this, I had this just got imported. I have this great, beautiful silk for you. I've been saving it, that kind of thing. But to claim that this is their design is not realistic. Back in the day, that kind of hubris would probably have gotten somebody into trouble. But the concept of a dressmaker becoming a fashion designer, two different titles, same job, is definitely something that evolved over time, right? And one of the first people that we do know of as a favored dressmaker was Rose Burton, or Marie Jeanine Bertin, who was the dressmaker for Marie Antoinette, the favored dressmaker. And she sort of created Marie Antoinette into her minister of fashion, right? What good advertisement to have as a dressmaker or a tailor to have your clothing on a very well-respected royal family member. For the men, somebody who evoked like the ultimate style of their time was Beau Brummel. So he was a gentleman who dressed very well in a very dandyism style. He created the stylistic trends. He set those trends with his tailor shop. And the way that people found out about new styles was from things called fashion plates or women's magazines, men's tailor shops, that kind of thing. The trends would be shared, much like we share trends on social media today. And it wasn't really until 1858 when English couturier Charles Frederick Worth established his first couture house, where instead of having people buy fashions off of fashion plates or fashion dolls, he made samples for women to walk around in so people could see it, thus creating the first fashion show. His idea was so popular that he became the father of fashion design. Now, designers, people who were dressmakers before, became designers, and they presented their lines in fashion shows.